Hey everyone, this is Adam, and I just wanted to make a quick video that kind of covers how I usually make my vocal chops. It's not a revolutionary process or anything, and there's plenty of resources that kind of show this online, but I figured it might be kind of useful for some of you, so yeah, I figured I'd make this quick. So the example I'm going to use is the bridge in my song Wander, and here is the part in question. So to start, I always just find a clip of vocals. In this case, I don't remember which pack it's from, but it's just from some sample pack on Splice, and this is the original file.
You and me will never make it through if we go on this way.
And from there, if I'm feeling lazy, I will just divide the whole thing up into like equal subdivisions. And there's a shortcut to do that on Logic. So if we wanted to put it into quarter notes, just do this, and then they're all divided up. But the downside to this, as you can see, is sometimes you get regions here that don't, like, that would be ideal. This isn't. But for the most part, if I'm cycling through lots of ideas or lots of different vocals to try out, I'm far too lazy to actually go clip out each word. So I just do this and kind of mess around. So once they're divided up into separate clips, I put a fade in and a fade out on all of them. And the reason I do this is because when you're cutting audio like this, it will, like if it's in the middle of whoever's singing, like during a phrase or a word, you'll get a little click. So this is with the fades on.
You and me.
So there's a little gap there, but if I take off the fade out and the fade in on this one,
you and me,
you can kind of hear that little click, which is not what you want. And if you don't add the fades, that's okay, because you can usually add, just like increase the attack on the sampler, because the next step is then converting all of these little regions into a sampler track. And every DAW will do it a bit differently, I guess. But in this case, it goes into EXS24, and then each of those regions are mapped to the keys. So this is roughly 2 octaves. And I guess back to the point, if you do still have clicks, you can always just increase the attack speed within the sampler, which can help with that. But I'd usually just throw on the fades manually beforehand, so I don't have to worry about it. And once I do that and they're mapped out into a sampler, it's honestly just a lot of trial and error. Just whip out a MIDI keyboard or something and start playing around with it. So let's see. There we go. Oh, we don't want to record. Okay. But yeah, as you can see, they're all mapped out, and it's just messing around with it until something kind of starts to sound good. And a lot of I don't think I've ever used vocal chops that are in the same pitch as the original vocal. I guess early on when I started, I always used the tune function in the sampler, which it works really well, and I think it's the best way to preserve the audio quality. But the downside is that it makes it adjusts the speed of the vocal. So if I take off the pitch plugin I used for these, and how much is it, 8, and adjust it in here instead, this whole thing is just going to be way too quick, and it won't really make sense at this tempo. There we go. So you can see they're super quick and it just doesn't work. So, but I mean, if you're only doing it, I don't know, just a few semitones, maybe 2, 1, 3, just whatever, that, I don't know, sometimes that'll work fine. But in this case, I used Little Altar Boy. And as you can see, that doesn't adjust the speed of them. But the downside is that it does mess with the, I guess, the sonic quality of the vocals a bit more. And the effect of that can actually, I don't know, it can be good. And a lot of times I shoot for that, especially once you start playing with the formant, which is why I like Little Altar Boy so much, because I started using it, I don't know, a year and a half ago. I think the first time I started using it was on my Mako remix of Run For Your Life. But it's a great way. It's a good tool to add to your processing of vocal chops, because it allows you to sort of, I don't know, get a bit of a more unique sound, or if there are problem words that just sound a little weird, like it might sound too chipmunky if you're pitching it up this high. If you drag down the formant, it can really help with that, because, so like this is what it sounds like with the formant the same as the pitch. But if I start dragging this down, it'll get deeper without the pitch actually getting deeper as well. So in this case, I only have it 2 semitones lower than the pitch, and it's not huge, but it made it just a little bit less whiny, which is what I wanted. And another sort of, I mean, whether you want it or not, a result of playing with the formant is it kind of messes with the stereo image, and it makes the vocals a bit wider. And sometimes that's great, sometimes it's not. I mean, I guess it depends on the context of the song. And I mean, I guess taking the formant and pitch into consideration, that's also why I end up duplicating my tracks a lot for vocal chops. So like these are all just the same set of chops that I put in here, but they're all processed slightly differently, or slightly different pitch wise. So this original one was up 8 semitones and the formant was at 6, and this is up 3 and the formant's the same as the pitch. And let's see, this is 3 and 3, this is 4. And I mean, you can automate that if you want, but if I can get away with avoiding automation by duplicating a track, I would rather do that, because I use enough automation as it is. And after that, I have some saturation. And the reason I do that for this song is because this whole mix is pretty raw. Like it's intentionally not like a hyper clean mix. So for reference, so by using the saturation, it kind of makes them a bit more gritty and gets rid of the extreme high end. So like is this the right one? Yeah, so this is with the saturation. If I take it off, it's a lot cleaner and you get that super airy high end. But I mean, that's kind of how my vocal chops are in Always, but in this song it just didn't really fit in the context of the mix, so just made them a bit dirtier. And then after that we have Vocal Rider for some basic leveling, Timeless for some delay, and then Valhalla Shimmer, which is, I love this plugin more than anything. That's our reverb, and it's just, I don't know, Valhalla Shimmer is magical. So like this is without it. And it just makes such cool spaces. So yeah, I mean, that's really it. I mean, I guess the only other thing I'll say is that instead of having all of these plugins on each duplicate, What I'll usually end up doing is sending it to a bus and then dragging over all the post-pitch processing to this one bus, and then I'll just send all these to that, and that just saves a lot of processing power. And yeah, I mean, I guess that kind of covers everything. So hopefully this video was at least a little bit useful, and if you have anything else you want me to try and cover, just let me know. And thank you for watching.